It's 7 o'clock. Let's flip in the building. Hey, Money Elms, you ready? Let's go. Welcome to Elm Street, the hottest podcast. And all that cash in Money Elms pockets, it look like thigh pads. He talking trending topics, he ain't no carbon copy. We talking sports, music, and fashion and other options to get us out the hood and keep that paper coming. And I smoke homes, not backwoods, I'm about to blaze an onion. These rappers flexing on the gram and they got fake cheddar. This intro was provided to you by Flip Mayweather. That right. Yeety, yeety. Money Elms, what's up? Yeah. Lil' Flip in the building. Screwed up clip. Welcome to Elm Street.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to Elm Street. I'm your boy, your host, Money Elms, man. What is going on, people out there, man? Check this out, man. My Mavs are down right now, 52-69 against Golden State, man. Man, hold on, man. But we're going to get to these Mavericks in just a second, man. But let me go ahead and introduce my guest host tonight. Dallas legend, man. That's all I can say, man. The one and only DJ Maudi.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you for coming through.
Well, I appreciate you, the fact that you appreciate me, and we both appreciate each other. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, man.
When you break it down, you know what I'm saying? I think I like the fact that you called me last night and you got on the phone and you said, what are you going to wear tomorrow? And then you said, let's wear our blue Mavs hats.
Right, so we
aquí estamos.
We can coordinate.
Perra, igualita como yo.
Ay, como te gusta.
Pero aquí estamos.
¿Verdad? Live and direct.
En vivo y a todo color. Este viernes en el Far West se presenta Los Temerarios.
Ay.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Hell yeah, man. It's what's good, man. Everything's lovely out here, man. So, by the hat, that tells me a lot.
Yes.
You're definitely a Mavs fan.
Day one all the way. I've been one of my favorite teams is Real Madrid. So I used to follow Luka back in the day. All the naysayers said this guy was not going to be the one. The European is soft. And, being in Dallas, we back up the Europeans, hence Dirk. You know what I'm saying? So that's a legend right there. And then what Luka has done, I mean, that's a generational talent, I mean, like in the playoffs right now, the guy's averaging 30-something points. I mean, he's right up there with Michael Jordan, and Wilt Chamberlain. It's just crazy. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but I'm content. I think they've been playing with house money for a while, and I think hopefully next year a lot of free agents will want to be a part of this team because it's an exciting team. This can it can be a dynasty with the right pieces together.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, just need a good rim protector, somebody that can
a good center, yes.
Somebody that can bang inside and come outside too. I mean, unfortunately, we can't get the centers like Shaquille back in the day, because these guys be shooting threes, so the game has changed a bit, but I think it can happen, and I really like what I'm seeing. I like the swagger that Luka has, like that attitude. He don't back down from nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Mavericks, I think, have to be lucky to have landed Luka after Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, I mean that's who does that? I mean that's just great luck. And the other teams, I'm sure they're kicking themselves in the butt like, man, the hell did we do?
Because, think about it. It doesn't happen like that, Because think about it. If you look at the Laker dynasty, you had Magic. And then after Magic, they kind of went dormant until Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
Shaq and Kobe emerged. And then, boom, you had the dynasty again. And this is kind of something similar, not with the dynasty, but with the player. Nowitzki just retired, and right there, he was already there.
Yeah.
So I think Mark Cuban hopefully puts the right pieces around him.
Yeah.
And, like they're saying, this is a good learning experience for us.
Yeah.
So hopefully they learn everything they need to learn from this experience. But hopefully this is not over.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I think they just need to get El Cuñado Hernández Roofing to work on the American Airlines roof para que no esté lloviendo. So, they won't have to.
Hey, I was surprised about that. I was like, man, what's up, Mark Cuban?
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, chicle, pasa de chicle.
Andaba bien encabronado, güey. También was like, damn, on national TV, this is so wrong. But, they won the game, so that was good.
Yeah. But as it looks right now, it's not looking too hot, man. It's 71-53, man.
Ah, cabrón.
I'm still keeping my hopes alive.
Yes, we have to.
I'm not. I'm all the way to the last minute. To me, the last minute still has hope.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, third quarter doesn't mean nothing. We still got the whole fourth going, and come on, Mavs. We need the Mavs to take over, man. Luka Magic.
It's not over till La Chona sings.
Oh yeah. And I heard she's in town.
Dicen.
La leyenda dice. Por ahí.
A ver qué, no sé.
A ver qué sale
Yes,
hoy.
sir.
Pues sí, Mauri. Y pues, ¿qué te iba a decir? So, I've been dealing with this all day as far as this the subject that we're getting ready to go into and dive into. Of course, if you've been under a rock, to where after hearing the news, I wish I was under a rock.
Yeah.
Because devastating.
Yeah.
For the families and the community of Uvalde, Uvalde, Texas. Condolences and heart goes out to the families affected by this tragedy. I mean, senseless tragedy.
It is. It's very unfortunate. I just came back from. I was DJing at the Winnetka Elementary for the 5th graders. The principal called me and said, "Hey, Maudi, can you do this? The kids." And I was like, "Sure." And I walked in, and I just saw those kids, and it was just all I kept thinking about was these kids in a place, just a couple of miles away down south, were killed. Innocent little kids, just like the kids I'm looking at right now. And they were not going to have this because of the shooting. And then I guess they got together and then they said, you know what? These kids deserve it. They've gone through COVID. They've gone through all of this. And they deserve this celebration. And I concur. I'm not standing up for what the guy did. Obviously, the guy only had a mom, and I think the mom had some issues. There wasn't really a positive male role model. I think he had a grandfather, but, he didn't live with a grandfather, I don't think. And, he definitely needed some type of, male role model, some type of masculinity in the house, And he didn't get to graduate from high school, so he was bummed about that. And not to mention, you can't take these kids for granted because just because they're kids, you think that, they're just kids the way I was kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, these kids, they're isolated. They're isolated through what happened with COVID. They're isolated because of their phones. They're isolated because of their video games. And it's just a lot of pressure these kids are into, and no wonder they're having so many mental problems, so much depression, so much anxiety. You know what I'm saying? And then now you got to deal with this whole gender situation that's going on, where you're talking to the kids and saying, well, I know you're a boy, but are you a girl? Or if you're a girl, are you a boy? Mm-hmm. And then those kind of talks, and
they're never easy, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine being a kid right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the old days, back in West Dallas, it was just, play outside all day with the neighbors and the rec and just play. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have no video games. It was like social city, man. We just socialize and talk to people.
It's funny. I
And-
seen this meme not too long ago where there was a bunch of bikes in front of somebody's house, and it's like, oh, that's how you knew where your friends were.
Yeah.
By the bike, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Carlos, look, Jose, Luis, everybody's here.
Yeah, they weren't checking in or yeah. Yeah, and it's just a lot of pressure these kids are into, and I went and I DJ'd at this elementary school, and these kids were having the time of their life. I mean, they were just dancing, singing together. The girls are dancing with the boys. You can tell some of the girls, were crushing on the boys. The little boys were crushing on the girls, and the teachers are dancing. Everybody was having a great time, and it was just beautiful to see that. And I think that's what we need to get back to.
Yeah.
That kind of community, and if, unfortunately, I think, we can go back and forth, whether you're Republican or whether you're Democrat, I don't know what needs to happen. I know that, there's a lot of arguments being made about as far as security. Mm-hmm. We spend so many billions of dollars to aid other countries, but we can't provide a security guard or several security people at the schools so the kids can be safe,
Yeah. Somebody dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah.
Because I know in the elementaries around where I stay in Mesquite, you got to kind of go through a little security.
Yeah.
You got to ring the doorbell with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
They see who you are, and, if you have packages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You got to identify yourself.
Yeah.
And then you go through the first gate, then you got to go through a second one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get into the school. So what I don't understand is how this gunman shows up and gets in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if did he have a duffel bag to where he hid the guns, or
He had I think they found it near his truck, but you got a pretty good school if you have that type of security available, because I don't think they have that type of state of the art security where you can. It's down south too, So over there, who would ever think that something like that would happen? And it doesn't even have to deal with race, because it's happening everywhere. You got Asian, Black, White, Hispanic that are doing that. So it's not just one particular party. It's just like, and it's not even kids that are just badass kids. They're kids with mental issues, And
it's funny because we were just talking about mental health just recently, and how we need a kind of like a awareness to mental health, because you never know what your neighbor, your coworker, might be going through. Your own relatives, your kids could be going through something mentally.
Yeah.
But if you don't check on them, we don't know.
Yeah.
We're too busy wrapped up in our social medias, our Instagram accounts, because it's a lot of times I see it happening to me. I have a little one at the house, and I see how easily I get lost in my phone.
Yeah.
Like with a brief, the little kids, hey, dad, hold on, because I'm too busy over here being a slave to this cell phone.
Yeah.
And sometimes kids need a little bit of attention. And maybe if this dude got that attention that you was speaking of, maybe we wouldn't be having these discussions right now.
Yeah.
They need role models in their lives. It almost seems like nowadays all that's lost.
Yeah.
We had a good when we was growing up, like you said. We had people we look up to, role models.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's crazy. You look up to some of these rappers, and so the half of the shit that they're saying, I'm like, really? Do you really want your kids listening to this stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's a rough situation. The times that we're living in right now, especially raising kids these days, I don't know, there's just a lot of arguments, because I think there's a lot of kids right now that are isolated through the whole COVID, the school, and not to mention, I think one of the most important factors of all of this is a no regard for life. And I think a large part of that has to do with video games. This guy, he loved Call of Duty. It's like just like the video game. It's just like I'm gonna go in there and just they become experts. You know what I'm saying? It's like you learn from it.
Yeah, because they run like tactic practices.
Yeah, the whole GTO and all that crap. And it's like, damn. And to be real about it, they don't really know what the hell they're doing. They're just kids.
It's kind of
18
like
years
a simulation.
old.
So pilots, they do a simulation program to learn how to fly planes before they can actually get on a plane.
Yeah.
So once they get on there, they're like, okay, I've test driven a plane before, but not in real life. So I guess these kids kind of look at it the same way. Like they don't look at it that gun can alter somebody's life in a major way. When it comes to gun laws, man, I don't like to get too political, but I feel they do need to have a good, decent background check.
Yeah.
I don't think they should, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to bear guns. Hey, if you're legit, hey, by all means, you got the right to protect yourself. Carry a gun.
Yeah.
But make sure you're all good up here.
Yeah, they need to pass some type of personality, mental check or something. Because just to sell it to anyone, that's pretty crazy. And people make the argument, you can go to the army and, be trained to use a gun and then not use it when you get back home. That's it doesn't make any sense, But I think that's more of the problem there, that most of these people that are doing these mass murders are people with real big time mental problems. And then you think about it, like, does that fix the situation? Because then do you think that somebody that's really, really sick, because unfortunately, most of these people that devise these plans of going into the school, some of those kids are a little off to where they're super smart, And what is going to make them say, well, they have some gun, mandates, and they're a little bit more strict to get a gun, so I'm not going to be able to kill nobody. These people are sick. They're still going to find a way to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they got to grab their car and then plow their way into a crowd of 50 people, they'll do it. I think that's part of the problem. The other part is, what are we going to do about these kids? Where I know that they're blaming the NRA, but what about the big pharma? What about all of the drugs, the other drug dealers that are shoving these drugs down our kids' throats? Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Your kid needs to be on some Adderall. They need to be on this antidepressant. You know what I'm saying? Also the big pharma also has to do with all the drugs that are being put in the food. Most of the food that we eat today is not even food. When I was growing up, I'm not going to say it was 100% food, but it's a lot better. It was more natural than it was now.
Oh, yeah.
And most of the food, the pharmaceutical companies get rich not out of the drugs they sell to people, but out of all of the pharmaceutical drugs that they sell to the food manufacturers, like the meat, the chicken, the pork. There's a lot of crap in there, man. And that's why you're having a lot of these kids with mental issues. They got some irregularities, or
chemical imbalances.
Yeah, chemical imbalances that you can't even explain. And I think, it's crazy. I mean, you look at some kids, like even some little girls, that they don't even look like. I kind of understand when they say, I don't feel like a girl, I feel like a boy. And then their body is shaped a little different. I think a lot of it has to do with the food too.
Yeah, their hormones.
I mean, just think how many hormones they put in the food so they can make it bigger, you know? When was the last time you got on the grocery store and you bought some strawberries? You're like, man, that's some big-ass strawberries, you know?
Yeah.
And you eat them, and what do you think? No sé, oye, no tengo unos pinches chichis que tengo acá.
Yeah.
Su pinche madre, pinches chichis para no. I can breastfeed 3 kids, güey.
Yeah, you wait.
Sí, está cabrón. So, it's just a lot of things, man. It's just very unfortunate. But I think what we need to do is we need to look at ourselves, you know? People can say, you know, I want change, you know, and do this and do that. And then everybody would just go back to normal, you know?
Yeah.
But what are we going to do in our community? What are we going to do? When we see a kid acting up, are we just going to be like, well, you know, it's not my kid. It was a badass little kid.
Yeah.
Or are we going to be like, well, where's the parents at? You know, get involved. What's going on, you know?
Well, you know what? Back in the day, there was a saying that it took a village to raise a kid.
Uh-huh.
You know, because, you know, when you're not there, well, if your neighbor's outside and you're inside, well, guess what? Your neighbor sees your kid doing something bad. It's like, hey, stop it. That's not right. You know, nowadays it's not, they don't care.
Yeah.
Or if anything, they're quick to do this. Oh, let me record it. Let me go viral. You know, it's like instead of doing the right thing, they do the opposite. Yeah,
that's somebody's kid. That can be your nephew. That can be your own son, you know? And I'm going to say this, and it's not a way for me to brag or anything like that. But I'm only saying this, that if it can inspire and motivate someone else, then do it, right? There's this lady, I work at Del Sur Tacos sometimes, like, you know, like when the COVID hit, you know, I couldn't do any of my gigs, but Ismael is my buddy, the owner of the place. So I started working with him over there, and I got to be friends with some of the cooks in the back. You know, I talk to everybody. You know, my mom always made me, mi hijo, tú hablas con todos, hombre, no te hagas el muy, muy. So I talked to the cooks, and estamos ahí, tú sabes, cotorreando y todo el pedo. And there's this lady, her name is Cindy. She's one of the cooks. Very nice lady. She has a little boy. Okay, his name is Daniel, and the guy's like 5 years old, and his face lights up when he sees me. You know. And I start DJing. He always wants me to play pepas. You know. So I start playing it. The kid starts dancing like he's crazy, you know. So I have a really good time with him. Great kid, but his father was deported. I don't know. I don't exactly know what happened, but the kid hasn't had a father for a while. So then they have he has another older brother. So I told Cindy a couple of weeks ago, before all this happened, I said, Cindy, I said, listen, I'm going to say this, and I don't want to be awkward, okay? But I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I would like to take your son out to go watch a movie, go eat some dinner, and I don't want to just take him out by myself. I will bring my daughter, you know, just so you can feel a little safe. Would you trust me with doing that? And you can say no. I will not be offended by it, because unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of crazy people, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But I've known Cindy for a while, so I felt comfortable asking her that. And she had a banana smile, like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? And I was like, well, yeah. So she's like, you don't know how much he loves you, and it would be so great, because he's always asking for his father. He just recently stopped asking for his father, and it's just, right now he's a great kid, but I'm really worried about him. So it's a yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, of course, she said, hey, do you mind if you take my other son too? I was like, well, yeah, okay. Said, no, llévate los dos.
De una vez.
Yeah, de una vez, vámonos. So she was like, no, déjame, yo te doy, y tú nomás dime cuántos es las películas. Digo, no, ¿cómo crees? Si yo invito, yo invito todo. And I'm not saying that because I want some kind of medal. Obviously, I've done stuff in the community, and that's practically more because I've been in the radio and the TV and the stuff that I've done before. But I just look at that kid and I think about my own son and the shortcomings that kid has. And then the other 14-year-old kid that she has as well, you know, that kid probably needs me to take him out more than the little one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think that's where it starts. We need to do more of that because we are blessed, especially me that has, I'm not saying that I have money. I'm saying that I'm blessed because I have a family. And I have a family that has love and compassion and communication for each other. And if I can share that with somebody else, and, you know, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Because that kid that's 18 years old, I'm not saying I pity the kid. He is still a son of God. And I feel like, I don't feel like the kid was 5 years old playing with his toys saying, you know what? When I get to be 18, I'm going to kill 21 people. I don't think he felt that. I think there's some stuff that happened to him along the way.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like if that can be prevented in any way with the community, with the help of not just the mother or just other people, I think that's where we start winning. You know what I'm saying? That's where we start winning because, yeah, we can blame the guns, we can blame the school, we can blame the security, we can blame the mom, but I think that's what we need to do, especially our people, man. Siempre hemos sido así, you know, la familia, los amigos, las amistades. You know, I was raised where if I was somewhere and it was one of my dad's friends and I saw my dad's friends, I'd be like, cabrón, you know, ponte al tiro, güey, porque le va a decir a papá. And when you get home, that's your ass, you know?
Yeah, especially también si, hey, que miraste Julano de tal y you didn't say hello.
Oh, yeah.
That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Que no te enseña
Saluda,
respeto,
cabrón.
hijo de la...
Saluda, hijo de la chingada. Yeah. I mean, that's...
I mean, you're right on that. As a community, if we work together,
Yeah.
I believe, you know, there could be hope for the future, man.
We got to, man. And I mean, what kind of damage am I going to do? Just, you know, one kid, you know what I'm saying? And I take him out a couple of times here and there, you know, and there's thousands of kids. But if we all do that at least one time, once in, you know, in a blue moon, like once every 6 months, once every 4 months, I mean, I think that can be very, very vital for a lot of kids. I think that as kids, we take a lot in. Most of the memories that I have was stemmed from my childhood. And I can tell you in one hand the people that made a significant influence in my life, and it was key people. And it's not because they were in my life for a long time. It was just certain individuals, you know? Like my band teacher. There was a couple of things he would say to me that stuck out. You know, just little things of encouragement, you know? And this kid didn't have a positive male role model, you know? And unfortunately, that's what's happening. And, you know, I'm going to go into another one, and that's, this is going to be a little controversy, but I think this feminist movement is great to a certain point, but, you know, I really do feel that nobody wins, especially when there's kids involved. You know, there's a lot of women out there that you know, Cardi B's out, and I don't cook, I don't clean, and you got Karol G saying, you know, mujeres and all that stuff, and it's great. I love it. I got daughters, and I don't want them to be, you know, weakened by a man or anything like that. Like, you can do it. You know, tú eres chingona también, you know, do it. But I do get a little worried how, you know, I've been in the club business for a long time. And now I see women drinking out of a bottle. Su pinche ma. Oye, están así, güey. Y no paran. You know what I'm saying? They drink more than men.
Hey, los güeyes dicen, hey, dame un shot.
Sí, con la botella. You know, okay, fine. I'm not being a male chauvinist here, but I feel like they just, I know that there's a lot of women that have been hurt by men. And I know that they got their guard up, you know, and some women have this notion of, well, you know, I can be a man too. I can be just like a man. And some women are like men, you know what I'm saying? But there's that little small percentage of women that need to put their guard down just a little bit so they can let the man be the man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that maybe of that, there's a lot of women out there that are growing up or that are raising kids. And I think it's great. A lot of single women have done a lot of great things by raising their kids. But unfortunately, there's a lot of women out there that punish their baby daddies by not seeing their kid. Even if they don't have enough money for child support, but they're ready to go see them. They're trying.
Yeah, trying
you know
to
what I'm
their
saying?
lives.
And I see a lot of dudes that I know that they love their kids. They can't be with a baby mama for whatever reason. And they get punished because they either cheated or they did something. And they punish them by not seeing their kids. But the only one that hurts are the kids. You know what I'm saying? And ladies, instead of raising your kids, a lot of the times you're raising your kids without that masculinity and that positive male role model that those kids need. Now, don't get me wrong. If the guy's an asshole and he beats you up, he verbally abuses you, I totally understand. I'm not saying that, you know, go back to the 1900s and deal with it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just, you know, sometimes a man will make the woman, a woman will make the man, you know, and you got to just, you don't worry about what's best for you or what's best for them. It's what's best for both of you guys, you know, and what's best for the kid, you know. Unfortunately, there's a lot of men and a lot of women that they're not thinking about the kids, you know, and they get stuck in the crossfires.
Yep.
Y ahí están los niños. Ahí está el iPad. Vete en el iPad y ahí estás.
Let the iPad raise you. Then.
Yeah, let the iPad raise you, and that's it. You know,
Dad's willing to take care of the kid, but just because he's late on child support, he gets grounded.
Yeah. And speaking of memes, you know, you got there's one meme that Mexican girls want a guy that looks like this. And the guy looks like Maluma. But then their dad looks like this. He looks like Ramon Ayala.
Yeah.
They no chingas. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, that's the other thing, ladies, that you have to understand that don't get stuck with the lifestyle of social media. Social media shows you all these beautiful things, all these hot vatos and this and that. Same with you guys. You know, you're going to get to see all this eye candy. You know what I'm saying? But is she going to love you the other ways without all the physical stuff? Is she going to love you where she's going to make a good sandwich for you? She's going to get up right before you go to work at 5:30 in the morning.
Because a good sandwich is hard to come by.
I'm trying to tell you.
Hey, unless you go to Subway or Firehouse Subs.
But those are the other things you got to see, you know. But I do think, you know, the feminist movement is good. But when you're talking about just like anything, where it's just like far, far, far right, or far, far, far left, where it's too radical, you know what I'm saying? Then that's going to be too crazy. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think, I don't know how that's going to work out. You know, I'm considering myself a Christian. I believe that God made a man and God made a woman. And then when you get married, you become one. You become one. And that's it.
So that do you part?
Yes, sir.
So there you have it. So Maudi, so what part of Dallas you from, man?
Yo represento el meritito West Side, Los Altos, Texas, brother.
Los Altos, Texas.
Yeah. Ahí en el barrio de Los Altos. Toda la Singleton y el meritito Navarro.
Already.
La colonia Chapultepec, ahí donde vive. Okay, no, es que no.
So
Yes.
where's your family from?
Well, my dad was born in Yahualica, Jalisco, 70 kilómetros de la ciudad grande de Guadalajara. Y mamá es originaria de el pueblito que se llama Tachinolpa, Sinaloa, que es como aproximadamente como 1 hora y media del rancho del Badiraguato de Sinaloa, donde él viene el mismísimo El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Solo que ella estuvo ahí, and then she moved in high school. She went to Culiacán. Culiacán is about an hour away from there. So allá toda la familia es parte de Tachinolpa, pero radican ahí en Culiacán.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was in love with some dude, and back in those days, from what she says, is that when he would hold your hand, that was it. Y'all were getting married.
Yeah.
That was in those days. No, ya los vamos a casar. So supposedly some girl knocked on the door and said that, I just want to let you know that I'm expecting a baby by your soon-to-be husband. So my mom said, oh, hells now. She started taking her earrings off and said, let's go to the DMX stage. Let's get this. No, so she's very heartbroken. So she moved to Guadalajara with her tia. And then she started writing letters to some dude from Dallas, Texas. And it was my dad. My dad was a widow. And my dad was a lot older than my mom. So my mom at that point was devastated. She started writing letters to him. It's like, this guy is not going to do me wrong. He's a lot older than me. So, I'm going through all these insecurities. Some man did me wrong. So I'm going to marry this man. So 4 kids came out of that. My brother, my 2 sisters. And then she was like, está bien bonito, Dallas. She didn't even call it Dallas. It was Dallas. Digo, no, mami, es Dallas. So,
Yeah.
Pero tú sabes, cuando vienes del rancho de Culiacán, Sinaloa, pues Dallas.
Pues
Digo,
sí.
no, sí me gustó mucho Dallas. Digo, cuando me dijo ese señor que vivía en Dallas, ya cuando me casé con él, aquí en la Basílica, fuimos a Dallas, Texas. Y yo estaba pensando que las calles iban a estar de oro. Pero llegamos en el West Dallas. No, hombre, olvídate. Estaba más triste que el rancho de donde vine yo. Because she was thinking that the streets were going to be paved in gold. That she said that she was in Culiacán when JFK died. And all she saw was a beautiful city of Dallas. She was like, man, it's beautiful over there. And then my dad's like, yeah, girl, I live over here in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? We're doing it big. And then she rolled up, and I was like, what the heck are these people doing? All this marijuana and the pimps and the hoes and all that. She's in West Dallas. And I was like, oh my gosh, One of the things that my mom wanted to move over here as well, because she didn't want me to be raised with a situation that was going on in Culiacán. Well, I guess I'll say it, but, en paz descanse mi tío, my uncle was, back in those days, if you go back to Narcos, people did things for a living because they wanted to put food on the table. In Mexico, there's a lot of oppression. There's no middle class. There's either poor or you're rich. And unfortunately, that was the case. And, my family over there, they were farmers. And the reason why Culiacán is so infamous is because of the rich soil that it has. And they got some good crops over there, Long story short, my uncle worked hand in hand with Rafael Caro Quintero. So, the guy, Rafael Caro Quintero, he was on the Narco show, and he pretty much invented the whole sin semilla, marijuana. And, the guy was a genius in a way. I know in Narcos, he's always getting high and doing dumb shit, but in a way, he kind of revolutionized the game. And so my uncle started working with him. And my other cousins were working with him too. Some of my cousins were cops in Culiacan, and my both of my cousins were killed. I got so many people that have been killed through that industry and in the 80s and 90s that my mom was like, forget this, we're moving over here anyway. So and she always says that she did right, because there's a side of the family that's not in it, and there's the other side of the family that can't get out or whatnot, And then my cousin started dating Caro Quintero. So that got more complicated. So, it's just it was just rough, And I'm just gonna leave it there, but that's how close the family was. And then the thing with my mom is that we moved to West Dallas, and right across the street, all the drugs were there. So she's like, damn it.
She was running away from
the drugs.
From the drugs,
but the drugs were getting here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I think one of the things that, a lot of people say you're from West Dallas and this and that, and it's like a running joke with my friends, but I was a very sheltered kid. I was a kid, and I couldn't hang around with the marihuanos in the corner. My mom was a muchacho, vente pa acá. She was very, very strict. And I'd be like, Mom, I want to hang around with Junior and also,
Sounds like she was cold with La Chancla.
Oh, yeah. Chancla big time. So very, very strict. Always going to church, la primera comunión, la confirmación, all that stuff.
Oh.
And she made me have a fear of God. I think when I was like 10, me tenía que hincar, güey, en frente de la Virgen de Guadalupe. And we made a promise to La Virgen that we were never going to do marihuana, because everybody was doing marijuana, No te juntes con esos marihuanos. Anyway, so it was that way. My mom was, that way. But she did things she did things in a very, she did the whole gaslighting. She did the whole feel sorry for me. Yo soy tu madre. All the scare tactics.
Yeah.
Anything she could for me not to do bad things. And it worked. But at the same time, también, tú sabes, it was just a lot of stuff that I was like, Mom, that was not the practical thing to do at that point. Pues es todo lo que sabía, hijo. Okay.
She pulled out all the weapons.
Yes. And then she did good. And then, she's still there in West Dallas. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of white neighbors now, all the gentrification.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just waiting on the new Whole Foods to come out and see what happens. But no, gracias a Dios, todavía está ahí, bien humilde la mujer. She's never wanted to leave West Dallas. Everybody else,
she kicked out the marihuanos.
Los marihuanos ya se fueron los cabrones. I don't know how many times I got mugged. I don't know how many times my sister got mugged. It was like... It was pretty crazy.
¿Le hubieras hablado a la prima? ¿A quién?
Algo.
Hey.
Sí. Pero that was the situation. I remember going to Jerry's to go get tortillas, and I would run zigzag because I would hear gunfire all the time. So I was like, if I run zigzag, I avoid getting shot. So that's a good thing. Yeah. And, I went through the whole thing in high school. Was all the gangs that were going on, but never was a part of the gangs or anything like that. I hung around with some of those dudes, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I would just always joke my way out of things. Like, hey, man, let's go get that car. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, I got to go. Where you going, man? My mom said that I had to go help her make some flour tortillas. Flour tortillas? Yeah, you know how that gets. So I try to bullshit my way out of it. You know what I'm saying? Pero that was it, man. And then I was in band in high school. You know what I'm saying? So I played drums. And then I was actually in a band, and I would sing. I would play drums, and then the singer would play the drums in one song, and my favorite song that I would sing was "Si me dice la guayaba, pero pimpiripao." That was my song. Yeah. And but that was about it, man. I was just, a happy-go-lucky kid.
Yeah.
I think one of the most significant things that happened to me. Have you ever seen the movie La Bamba?
Of course.
Yes. You remember when Bob takes Richie to La Zona Roja?
Yeah.
And the girl bumps into him and she says, "Me traes ganas."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. My half-brother took me to Monterrey, Nuevo León, to a bar named Alfredo's. I didn't know what the hell was going on. He told me, he says, "Maudi, ¿usted tiene Niño Maudis?" He would call me Niño Maudis, okay? Niño Maudis, lo vamos a llevar y lo vamos a llevar a bautizar. Chis. Yo creo que ya estaba bautizado yo,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm just going to Mexico. I mean, great. We always go to Mexico. So let's go to Mexico. I was 15 years old.
15?
Yeah. So I go into that bar, and he tells me, "Any girl you want." And I was like, what is he talking about? I had no idea. So the girl sits on my lap, and my brother tells me, "¿Está buena esta?" Pues sí, está buena. Sí me gusta, sí. And this girl grabs my hand, takes me to a room upstairs, and I lose my virginity.
Oh, wow.
It's a rough situation. And I didn't want to do it, but my penis said, no, ahorita va a cenar Pancho. So I was like, okay, see. So then, that was rough. I wish I wouldn't have lost my virginity that way because I don't even know the girl's name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just remember I remember the cheap perfume, Years later, I would go to like Dallas Gentlemen's, and some of those girls have the cheap perfume, and they just kind of like throw it up on you, and you're like, "Damn, that's that Monterrey perfume." So that the smell takes you back. So yeah. But I wish it would have been with somebody that I loved and knew and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that's how I lost my virginity.
Querías el bautizo.
Sí. But when I came back to school, it was like, shit, you know what I'm saying? What's good? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was bad. I was sexualized, and and my parents never talked to me about sex. I think when I was like 14 or 13, my cousin, Jesse Reynoso, paz descanse, he showed me this nude magazine, and there was a whole bunch of girls, crazy white girls, that had a strap with a dildo of a pee-pee.
Yeah.
And she was putting it on another girl. And I looked at it, and I looked at my cousin, and I said, "Girls have pee-pees?" And he was like, "They do. They do. You lying motherfucker."
In this picture,
Yes. Y ahí estoy viendo ese pedo, güey. And I'm kind of freaked out because I don't know if I should get a hard on or what. I mean, you know, it's like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? So I think I felt the pain 6 months later in my stomach. And then I said, I don't know what's going on. I think I'm pregnant. And my brother's like, "You are, and you need to think of a name." I mean, they just went along with it instead of correcting me, saying, "No, Maudi, you cannot get pregnant." And no, that was a strap on.
Yeah.
But no, they would fuck with me, man. That's why to this day, my brother, I'm always paying him back somehow, some way.
Man, that's crazy, dude.
But yeah, I mean, there was no kind of education,
Yeah, sounds like it. So, when did you get involved with the whole DJ deal?
Yeah, well, I started working when I was playing the drums. I would play music and hang around with a couple of DJ friends of mine. This guy named John Esparza had some turntables, and it was a long, long time ago. The first DJs that I remember was Dr. Rock on K104, and on the Hispanic side, Richard Ramirez, I think. He was from La Bajada over there in West Dallas. And then after that, of course, the Rincon brothers. I would go to 15s, and I grew up listening to those guys. And I always remember they had a ton of equipment. I mean, it was like, hey, who's DJing the Rincons? Oh, yeah, it's going to be on, you know. And then, you know, of course, all that happened. And then I wasn't really too much into DJing, but I started working on the radio at KNON. A guy by the name of Steady Freddie Martinez got me in. At that time, I was working at Tilt at Dallas Alley. Mm-hmm. It was a video game place over there at the West End.
Oh yeah, downstairs. Like
downstairs. So I was working there, and then I was working there, and that's the first time I met Selena.
Oh wow!
I met Selena there. She and the Selena y los Dinos. She was there, and I just saw these kids, and they were like my age, and I was like, what are you guys? You know, what are y'all doing here? You know what I'm saying? Because it was like in the daytime. And I think it was a school night, and they were like, "Yeah, we're here in town. We're a band." So I gave him a cup, like a big old cup filled with tokens all the way to the top. You know, I just hook it up and like,
yeah,
déjate caer, whatever you want to play. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, "Wow, you're cool. Oh my gosh, thank you." So yes. So then I didn't know who these people were. So. Then that's when Tejano first started coming out, and then I wasn't really listening to Tejano as much. I was more into rap around that time, and then of course I grew up first generation, so I just grew up with Los Cadetes and you know all those guys. Yeah. So anyway, so I went to a place called the Gomez Palladium in Grand Prairie, Texas. And it's his little hole-in-the-wall club, but it was a Tejano club because Selena said, I need you to come. So don't you know, I show up, bro. Y ahí está el señor Quintanilla, el papá. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he's right there charging. Bolas. I think it was like $8. Échale ganas. I walk in, and as soon as I see the stage, I see this woman. It just captivated me because of the performance she had. She was dancing, and she did her little twist, you know. And guess what song she's doing? Juana la Cubana. I'll never forget it. As soon as she's done with the performance, I believe there's a couple of more songs, and I'm just sticking around there watching her. And then right afterwards, she actually sees me while I'm there because the place is not even packed. And she says hi to me. And then after her performance, you know, she says hi to me again. So I go to the stage, and she gives me a kiss in the cheek and gives me a hug and says, thank you for coming.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I can't tell you that I was attracted to her like, you know, like she wasn't looking like the way she looked like on, you know.
The way everybody knows.
Like the way everybody sees her in the pictures. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because I think she went through a little ugly stage, you know what I'm saying? Where she was still she still had that little perm in her hair.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she was still trying to find herself, you know what I'm saying? But I saw a beautiful person because she had this amazing talent that she had. And I ain't gonna lie, she had a booty on her. I mean, it was like, damn. I mean, it was like a stallion. Anyway, so she was dancing, but the fact that her smile and the way she talked to me, that was the beautiful part to me. That was a beautiful part to me because she invited me, and then I saw her, and the fact that she was happy to see me and I was happy to see her, that was the beautiful part. You know, la ternura that she had. And I think that's what makes more of a person beautiful. I mean, you can see a girl that's 10 times more beautiful than Selena, but if they have the wrong attitude vete a la bird.
Yeah.
¿Entiendes? So, I mean, but that's what captivated me. And then I didn't see her for a while, and then I started working at KNON. Because Steady Freddy Martinez said, "Hey, I need you to come in." I ran into him at Jerry's Supermarket. He was from West Dallas over there off of Canada Dry, and I was off of Navarro. So I ran into him at Jerry's, and I was messing around with some guy, and the package clerk, no, que pinche pedo, cotorreando, way. And then he knew him, but I didn't know Steady Freddy. So Steady Freddy was like, "Hey man, what's up, bro?" And then I'll bump into him here and there. And he saw that I was very talkative, So he's like, "Maudi," I says, "Where you staying?" "Oh, I stay right down the street." And I said, "Hey, man, I need you to help me out, man. You ever think about, would you like to be in radio and help me out with the dedications?" I was like, you know how it is in KNON,
Yeah.
You got we got the shout outs, man. They've been having shout outs, man. Let me tell you. For Mexicans without shout outs, I don't know how they can live, So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we called it shout outs, but we did dedications.
Okay.
So I would answer the phone and then I would take the dedications. And then, all right, it's time for dedications with Maudi. And then I wasn't even me, Maudi. So we were discussing, okay, hey, man, you got to find a name. What are you going to call yourself? So I was like, okay, I thought of a couple of names that rhyme with Maudi, because my real name is Mauricio. But when I was a kid, everybody always called me Maudi. So I was like, well, I thought of two names that might rhyme. Mean Maudi or Maudi Mouse.
Maudi
and I was
Mouse.
like, oh.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's go with Mean Maudi. Yeah. So then that happened, and we stuck with Mean Maudi, and then after that, I remember going into a bar, and it was a promoter that was there, and I guess I was making a name for myself because at KNON it was a volunteer kind of thing,
Community radio.
yeah, community radio. So there was an open spot. And at that time, it was Mark McNeil, who was the station manager. And he said, "Hey, this person is no longer there. I like your voice. I like your energy. Would you be willing to take that spot?" And I was like, well, heck yeah. And, I didn't really learn anything about radio. All I did was I would listen to other DJs at other radio stations. And I would, back then I had a jam box, so I would record DJs. And then I would go back, rewind, and then I would write down everything they would say, and then I would memorize that. And then I would read it over and over and over and over. And that's how I learned. As far as the technical stuff, as far as slicing and dicing, recording, the phone calls, the buttons, it's just like an airplane, all the buttons. You just gotta, it's just like anything, you just gotta get to know it. And then after a while you get better. But so I took that position of that show, and that was great. That was great because that kind of spearheaded my whole radio career. And that's how I got into the club business, because a promoter said, "Maudi, I need you to come to the club, hang out for a little bit." You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right. So at that time, I was not in good standings with my dad, because my dad was old school. My dad was, mira, hay que chingarle, So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And I would tell him, I says, Dad, I says, I'm not going to be working at this company anymore, so I'm going to be working over here because, you know why, Dad? Because I got a job. "Oh, really? What are you doing?" "Working in radio, Dad." And I was like, "Really? How much you getting paid?" "Well, I'm not getting paid because it's community radio, but I'm getting trained by being a DJ. And, of course, my dad from Jalisco, güey, están haciendo pendejo. ¿Cómo vas a trabajar y no te pagan? No te hagas pendejo, mijo. Ponte las pilas. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, Dad, you don't get it. Okay, I'm trying to be in radio. Anyway, so then I'm there, and the guy says, "Hey, man, come to the place." And I really couldn't have a job because I would go to these jobs, like I would work at Haverty's, and I'd be like, "Hey, I need you to come in Monday through Friday." And I was like, I can't do, I got my show on Wednesdays, I'm a DJ, Be like, "Oh, well, Mr. Hotshot DJ, you can't work here if you want to be a DJ, you know? So make up your mind. So I was like, okay. So I just, I couldn't do it. So I had to quit. And that was the case with all these jobs. They wanted me to work Monday through Friday. So, you know, growing up with my dad, we would work in La Pulga. So we would be selling, you know, frutas y verduras and all that. And maybe I think that's where I got out of the shell of being able to talk to people, you know. And so I started selling pots and pans, you know, here and there. I did anything, fire extinguishers, you know, salesman, you know. I would go to the want ads, you know, and just look, you know. And my parents weren't like, well, you need to go to college, find yourself. No, they just like, no, ya chingamos, ya. Terminaste el high school, nomás dame el foto con la gorrita y ya. Nomás para mandárselo a mi tía allá, a Azucena allá de México, para que mira, mi hijo se recibió. You know?
Yeah.
So that's the way it was, you know, because they finished third grade education.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, pues, if our kids graduate from high school, entonces ya chingamos. But I really do think that they should have pushed me to excel in my education. But I think it's also the way of thinking, the mindset they had. Because my mom was from Rancho. So my mom would look at me like, no, mijo, tú saliste pendejo como yo. No, para los libros, no, ni me los enseñen. No, tú saliste mensa como yo, mijo. And I was like, que sí, ma. Chingado.
Yeah.
Me pendejaste más, güey. So anyway, so I go to this club, and I'm very random, okay? I go to this club, and the guy says, hey, Maudi, you know, you're going to come in? We got Gary Hobbs is playing, okay? You introduce the band, okay? And then afterwards, I'm going to give you the microphone. You go rock the house, man. DJ Hollywood's going to play whatever you got to play. It was another DJ Hollywood. And then you're going to rock the house with him, okay? And let me bring you over here. Bartender, anything he wants, you give it to him. And inside my head, I was like, I'm barely 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, okay, I'll take that. So here I am, 18-year-old kid, and I got a microphone. And then I have all these people looking at me. And then they're coming up to me saying, hey, you're the guy from KNON. You're Maudi. So they start matching the face, because back then there was no social media. You know what I'm saying? So they start matching the face with the voice. And like, oh, you're Maudi. Oh, yeah. Hey, Sylvia from Co-America Bank. You be doing my dedication. So I was like, okay, girl. So then I have the bar open, so I'm buying drinks for people, you know. I mean, then, you know, one of the DJs is like, hey, man, I'm not going to be able to make it. So I start helping him out. And then that's how I start, you know, learning more about the DJ stuff. And then, but really afterwards, the guy shakes my hand, like mafia style, you know. He's like, Orale, Maudi, thank you, bro. And I feel something in my hand. So I feel it, and then I just kind of like, ooh, he gave me something. You know what I'm saying? So I go to the restroom, and I look at it, and this fool gave me $150 to work that night. You know, a long time ago, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
For one night. And that's how much I would get paid working at Haverty's for 1 week after taxes. So I'm like, that's when right there, I knew right there and then, this is what I would do. So I was like, man, I get drinks, you know, the girls, the attention that I got from the girls. I mean, that was coming in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I would tell girls, oh, you just want to be with me because I'm the DJ. And if I wasn't a DJ.
Because I'm me, Maudi.
Yeah, you know. And the girl was like, that's not right. No, you can't say that. And I was like, okay. But I know inside that's what it is. But, you know. So that's how I started the club business. And that's when I met Felony. And then me and Felony started working together. And it's funny because my compadre, who's the owner of Rhythm Nation, fast forward, the owner of DMX, Zaps, 2551, I started working with Simon the Diamond, and he had a block on KNON. It was called the Caliente of Dallas. So me, him, and another guy named Sammy G, we were the caliente, we were the bad boys of radio. That's what he would call it. And his intro music was Bad Boys, the whole, cop show,
Yeah.
Soundtrack. And it was a pretty good marketing scheme the way we would do it. We would go to schools, we would go to quinceañeras, we'd go everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we were like there was no kind of social media. I mean, KNON was gold. Everybody named Mama would listen to KNON. That was the only way of dedications. Like the phone lines, they would be blowing up left and right.
It's like the request lines.
Yeah. From the beginning to the end, people would call over and over and over. It was not like, if it's your birthday, it's already updated on your social media. The only way you can do a shout out on birthdays was KNON. That was it. I mean, you could call K104 or other radio stations, but you knew not everybody in the hood was listening. Pero la raza was listening to KNON. And when they would say, hey, listen, we're the only radio station in this time, we're going to play Tejano, we're going to play freestyle, we're going to play that Kid Frost, La Raza, all that hip hop in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
This is the only radio station. And that was a fact. So that's what we were doing. So we were like kind of like real, like I grew up in that era where being a DJ, you were a celebrity DJ, Nowadays, unfortunately, you tell, yeah, girl, I'm on the radio. I'm like, radio? Nobody listens to no radio. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a little, I'm not shaming those guys, but it's compared to back then, it was a golden era of radio, and that was our way of communicating with people. Like, we live in an era right now where we can know up to the date in seconds if the Mavericks are winning or losing right now. You know what I'm saying? If there's a shooting that happens, Ray Liotta from Goodfellas passed away, and within 40 seconds I found out, And unfortunately, we have an influx of over communication right now with the whole media. But back then in the radio station, we would say, hey, guess what? In a bit, we're going to give you some news about Barbara Walters. It looks like she's getting a divorce, and we're going to let you know the details. And you would not go anywhere because you couldn't go to your phone and just find out the information. So people would listen to find out what you're going to say. Anyway, so I started working with Felony, and that's when I started working with him, and we got a job working with Shane. Shane was the entrepreneur that pretty much owns all of Northwest Highway with all of 2001, 2009, all of the clubs in the back. I mean, the guy's he's a club mogul, And before he had the escapades there, he had an escapade on Lemon Avenue. And he wanted us to go after Rhythm Nation. And Rhythm Nation was like the baddest club there was in the 90s. I mean, this place, you couldn't even walk in the club because it was like a whole bunch of sardines in the can. I mean, it was just like you would run into a girl and you would pretty much rub your penis right under her butt because that's how close it was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was crazy. It would have been a gay club. A lot of people would have had sex right there and then. But anyway, but it was that tight in there. But, it was crazy too because there was like, just our people. We love to fight.
Oh, yeah.
You going to bump into me. What's up, bitch? Like, damn. You know what I'm saying?
Throw your shit.
Yeah, throw your shit up. You know what I'm saying? You bump into somebody in a white club. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Let me buy you a beer, Brad. Over here it's different, So we wanted to go after that crowd. And it was up to me and DJ Felony. And at that point, me and Felony started out a DJ group, and we were called Los Mellow Fellas. And at that point, one of the most talented people I ever met was him. Because he was not just a great DJ, but he was a great producer. He had an incredible mind. This guy right here could put up a track together like nothing. And he would stay at my house in West Dallas, and we would just sit there and just talk about our dreams, talk about where I wanted to be, where he wanted to be. And he said he wanted to be a big time producer. I mean, fast forward now, he's in LA. He's worked with P. Diddy. He's worked with Akon. He's worked with The Game. I mean, every rap artist you can think of, this guy has done it, you know. And you know, he's the one that pretty much contributed to the Latin freestyle movement here. Him and Norby, they worked together on the production side of developing talents like George Patiño, Leo de Leon. All of that freestyle music was produced by him and Norby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that has a lot of recognition that needs to be done by them, because they deserve that, you know. But at that point, one of my old school friends from day one, his name is Caesar. Back then he was I got him on Kano N2. His name is Caesar the Pleaser. He was a backup dancer for Jaime, and it was Jaime's cousin. Jaime was a freestyle artist, and Felony was a DJ. So they go on tour. And I think one time I went to Austin, and they needed some backup dancers. And, you know, I was just going just because they were my boys.
Yeah.
But here I am being a backup dancer in Austin, doing my thing. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I was, you know, trying all my freestyle moves. You know what I'm saying? But it was a fun experience. But so then after that, so Felony said, hey, man, you know, it's not working out here at Escapade. Let's just do something else. So we were doing our DJing thing. And then he said, hey, man, I got an opportunity of a lifetime. I am going to work at at Rhythm Nation. So I was like, well, that's big. That's huge, man. Go for it. I mean, I'm just going to, I was doing a show called the Brown and Proud Show. He was doing it with me too. And this was like the early 90s. And it was a show that had it was a lot of stuff that has to do with our people. You know, we were taking a lot of pride in our ethnicity. That's when the whole, the culture, the Malcolm X movement was going on, where the movie came out. And there was somewhat of a similar civil rights kind of movement of being proud of who you are and whatnot. And that's pretty much what the show was about, you know. And we would play videos and we would do interviews, you know, and it was on cable. You know, it's kind of like Wayne's World, but here in Dallas. So I was doing that, and he was helping me out. And I think I have some old footage of that, me and Felony doing that. And we do comedy skits, you know, so it was fun. It was like a junior DMX TV.
Yeah.
And then after that, he started working at Rhythm Nation, and, you know, that was game over. He was like, he went from this DJ to this DJ because you were at the hottest club. And I think at that time, there was also another club called La Bamba. And La Bamba was owned by Alfredo. Alfredo Hinojosa is the guy that eventually moved on to do the Far West. You know what happened there. You know what I'm saying? I know, because you would go to the restroom and do the pericasos. Anyways, so so then I think about a year later, Felony calls me up and says, Maudi, no, I'm at the Tejano Rodeo. I'm at the Tejano Rodeo with a couple of friends. And then somehow, some way, he sees me there and he says, Maudi, Luis and Jose Tuya, they own Rhythm Nation. They're going to open up a club called Zaps. You need to be there. You need to be there. I'm going to bring you in because Rhythm Nation is more hip hop and Tejano's getting hot and a lot of people know you and this and that. So we want to get you in there. So they hired me as a promotional manager / DJ and MC. So I would book all of the bands there. And I would book up Tejano bands, freestyle bands, any bands you can think of. I think I brought Little John one time, but it was So Def. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? You know that song. I was doing rock en español nights too. We would bring in like Los Enanitos Verdes, Miguel Mateos, you know, like we were the first to bring rock en español bands there. We bring Caifanes in, I mean, it was pretty badass. I mean, we were like the first Friday nights to do Rock en Español. And to me, it was like, how are we going to be able to be packed every night? My job is to pack it in. I was a promotional manager there at Zaps. How can I do it? I couldn't do it to where I can have the same music every night, because that's what they were doing at Rhythm Nation. So they were only packed 2 nights out of the week. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make Thursdays the same as Sundays. Okay. Saturdays, we're going to make it of an older Tejano crowd. Okay. Not real old, because there was a lot of young people that were listening to Tejano. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be more Tejano. Sundays is going to be a lot of hip hop and Latin freestyle. Mm-hmm. Thursdays is going to be just first night out of the week. It's going to be a little bit of Tejano, hip hop, freestyle, everything. Mm-hmm. Fridays is going to be rock en español. So you had all the chilangos, all the guys from the big cities like, ¿Qué onda, güey? Puro pinche Guanajuato, León, Guanajuato, all those city Mexicans that love rock en español. And we had DJ Adan, who eventually moved to 2009 and became the DJ there. But I'm the first guy that hired him there. And then he went to 2009 and stayed there for like 20 years. But a lot of great DJs came out of Zaps. And then Felony, my buddy, my best friend, left Zaps. He got me in Zaps. And then he left Zaps because they were going to pay him a lot more money at the New West. Back then it was called Tejano West. Mm-hmm. And Tejano West was, they were tearing it up, But there was nothing like Zaps, nothing like we were doing, because we were packed every night of the week. And at that point, I was still doing radio. And I think it was 96, 97, then 2551 came up. And that's when a lot of the techno and trance came out. Mm-hmm. So that came out. Same formula. We would do the rock en español on Friday nights. Saturdays was Tejano. Sundays was hip hop. And Thursdays was a lot of the trance, dance, Pamp and the Knox, all of that stuff, So I packed every night of the week. It was just crazy. And then at that time, that's when Big Baby was got in 96 or something, like the last year of Zaps. Mm-hmm. It was Big Baby and G-Rock. We hired both of them. Alan had said, I think these guys are good. And I said, let's go. They didn't talk on the microphone. So at that time, I was like, you know what? Every night after the club, we're going to go through a class, how to talk on the microphone, how to do this and how to do that. And we did really good. And before you know it, those guys were talking on the microphone like nothing. And we were known as the Fat Jam Crew at that time, KNON. Mm-hmm. And it was just badass. And then, of course, I disappointed them because I got a job offer from Kick FM, broadcast radio, where they were going to pay me a salary. So I was like, guys, this is what we've been talking about. I'm going to take this. It's up to you guys to keep on doing it. Mm-hmm. So then I started working at Kick FM, and then they showed me, okay, you learn how to do radio this way, but nobody really taught you the right way, so we're going to teach you how to do it the right way. And then I had a little learning curve, but I learned it, And then from there, there was a shooting at DMX. So the cop got killed. It was a senseless murder from a guy that just at that point, mental issues weren't a big thing. It was just like, he crazy.
Yeah.
But it was just a dude that wanted to walk in the club, and he was already off in his head. Mm-hmm. And then Ernest said, no, man, we ain't going to let you in, because he looked like he was already a little off. He had a bad attitude. No, you ain't going to go in here. Le valió madre, Ernest, and you ain't going to go in here. And he went back to his truck, and then he got into it with a valet. He started shooting the guys at the valet.
Wow.
We had 16 Dallas police officers, okay? 16. We got the best, money can buy, DPD. And they couldn't take this guy down. They couldn't take him down. We had 16 police officers. Unfortunately, one cop hesitated, and when he was gonna pull out his holster, it got stuck, and he got shot in his hand. And then that cop, the one that got killed, he was not only a coworker, but he was a good friend. We would just, shoot the shit before everybody would get there at the end of the night. We were all cool. Shot him and killed him like assassination style. It was just crazy. Yeah. I mean, I really do believe that if this guy was to get pulled over, he would have gotten killed. He would have killed somebody on a routine traffic stop at a Walmart, anywhere.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happened in DMX, it was like, oh, it's the worst place in DMX. It needs to be shut down. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. Yeah, we do some crazy stuff, right? But not that kind of crazy stuff. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not our fault. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't let the guy in, Anyway, so that happened, and it was really, really bad. And then at that time, I stopped working at Kick FM because they changed the format, and they said, you're going to change it to cumbia all the time. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, shoot, this is all I got, man. What am I going to do? I've always done radio, TV. So we were thinking about ways of rebranding the club, because a lot of people were like, well, is it closed now? And then sure enough, people showed up anyway. People showed up, and we weren't where we were before. And then a gentleman by the name of Richard Graham, who was working at I believe it was Lieberman Broadcasting, he said, Maudi, well, why don't you buy a slot for 30 minutes to talk about your club? You can make an infomercial. So infomercials, you think about those infomercials where everybody's sitting down and there's this one guy talking, and then he's talking about how beautiful this product is and why you should buy it. And everybody's like agreeing and saying, yes. To me, this seems a little bit unrealistic, So I was like, I don't know. So we're thinking of ways of rebranding, re-advertising. Back then, it was just radio and print. I think it was a magazine called Tejano USA and Tejano Connection. And that was our way of advertising. And then Kiss FM came up to me and they said, hey, we want to sell advertisement to you. I was like, okay. I said, well, let me see your prices. And they were like very expensive because, of course, radio, that's what everybody would listen to. And back then, Kid Craddock was number one. So he said, this is how much it is for one commercial, more or less, like $245 for one commercial. And I asked him, I says, okay, how many Latinos listen to your radio station? I says, for what our numbers, we're actually in general market, we're number one with Latinos. I said, well, how many people? What's the percentage? He said, we have 32% of Latinos that are listening to Kiss FM. I said, so the white people and the black people are not going to come to this club, but the 30% might. So why don't you charge me 30% of $245? I said, we can't do that. Come on. So I was like, I'm not getting the same bang for my buck. You know what I'm saying? There's not the return of my investment doesn't suffice that. So I just didn't do it. But I thought what I was doing back in the 90s with Brown and Proud, here I am 10 years later. Why don't I do my own TV show and create a TV show where I can captivate an audience and have them tune in, and then I can be very sneaky, and I don't have to brainwash them by telling them, hey, you need to come here, you need to come here. No, just create an atmosphere and an environment where people want to be here without telling them they need to be here. And that the subliminal message would be in between a little bit of commercials of, this is what we do on Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights, And sure enough, it was a big hit. I did it, and we were like the second most watched TV show at 10 o'clock. The only thing that beat us was Univision News. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, I went from people knowing me from the radio to having lunch, having dinner, walking in the street, and people, honking the horn and shaking my hand and taking pictures. And I'm like, well, man, what the hell's going on? Like, it was like I was like a little local celebrity, like, and I never wanted that. I just wanted to have a good time, and we would do our skits and all that. Even my kids were freaked out. We would go to a Target, and then, no kidding, it got to a point where my son imitated the guys that were about to come to me. Like, he knew what guys were going to come to me. Like, if he saw a guy like you, like typical, raza, he was only like maybe 8 years old, and he'd be like, hey, you mean Maudi Ray? And then I kid you not, 20 seconds later, that particular person that he pointed out will come up and be like, hey, me Maudi Ray. Hey, man, you watching the show, man, And I was like, Luis, kick your ass. You know what I'm saying? But it was just funny. But I was overwhelmed with it. But I never got to a point where I was an ass to anybody. I was very thankful, very humbled by the response that we got. And sure enough, right after that, they were calling from Casa 1067 saying, hey, we need some DJs. We know you got DJ experience. So I became a DJ over there, and I brought in Big Baby. And then we had a morning show on Casa 1067, which was very successful. And I was still doing the club. And then after that, I would go to sleep at the radio station on Sunday nights and Thursday nights. And we would stay there because by the time I get home and then go to sleep and then get up and then come back to the radio station, I've already lost like an hour and a half of sleep. So I had a very understanding wife, and she let me do that. But a lot of that success I owe it to Big Baby, because he was a guy that was right off of Gilpin and Oak Cliff, crazy motherfucker, right? He didn't take shit from nobody. He was a DJ and he was a bouncer. He would go down there and kick some ass and come back with a big old cut in his head and be like, yeah, that shit was good. I was like, crazy.
Yeah.
But he was that dude. But at the end of the night, I told him, all right, bitch, you're going to put this dress on, put this wig on, and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, okay. So I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, he was just crazy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect that, but it was just like, that's the kind of dudes, that made the show successful. And that's the reason why we had such a long history working together, because we got along that way,
Yeah.
I mean, if it would have been any other dude, like, nah, I ain't gonna do that, man. You crazy. What are people gonna think?
Yeah.
No, él le valió madre, igual como yo, güey, I mean, and that was a huge part of this success. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it, really. I mean, I was doing the radio, the TV, and all that, and then the radio industry kind of went down, like I talked about.
Yeah.
As soon as the iPhone came out, as soon as the whole computer and your phone came out, it pretty much,
Ahí murió.
Yeah, ahí murió. The radio is just kind of went down after that, because now you got Spotify, Pandora, you got 1,000, 1 million podcasts. You might be listening to this on your way to work in the morning, which is great. So there's a lot of media channels that you can go to. It's not the way it used to be, where it's just radio, So, and then as far as the club, I mean, I knew that was going to come to an end, but I couldn't believe that the club outlasted the radio, And then, the club was just like, it was like a family, like the same bartenders, the same owner, the same staff that has been working there since DMX, with the same people that were working from Zaps.
Yeah, I mean, I remember walking in there, and it was just like you said.
Yeah.
I felt at home being there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the same people.
Great memories there,
Yeah.
most definitely. Oh yeah, one thing I did want to ask you. So who came up with the infamous Whip It contest?
Oh man, that was a famous Alan Hammer. It was him and this guy named Alfonso. I don't know who. I think they both collaborated on that idea. There was they were trying to bring in artists at Rhythm Nation, because they were trying to bring people in. So they were bringing in people like Lighter Shade of Brown, you know, those guys back in those days. But they brought in this guy named Mario, and supposedly he had this hit song called "Whip It," and they said, "Hey, I think they cost like several $1,000s," and they lost their ass. And the story goes that everybody was pointing at each other like, "No, man, you're the one that brought him in," so the owner had to fork out the money and pay him. It was just one of those bad deals, and nobody showed up. But that money pretty much quadrupled, tenfold, 1,000 times, because that song, they kept it and they said, let's call it not the Whip It song, but the Whip It contest. And man, I remember even before I got in the club business all the way, I would go to Rhythm Nation. And it was just me along all these other dudes going through hormone changes. We're looking at these girls up there like, oh my goodness. And it wasn't like, I don't think it would work right now, because, you know, you're going to see a Whip It contest when you're going to go to a topless club and see a girl naked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ya se acabó la ilusión. ¿Entiendes? So,
but you don't have to go far now, like you said.
The phone,
OnlyFans.
yeah. Before it was like, oh my gosh, that's the girl I went to school with. You know, and she's out there showing the nalgas. I mean, esos cabrones, they were like this, así, güey. I mean, it was just, and the same with the girls, you know. I mean, it was very, very different. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's funny how times change, because all of those kids that were there, and even me as a kid watching the contest, I could have gone to a topless club. I was already over 18. I could have gone to a topless club, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same because topless clubs, you knew exactly what you were going to get.
Of course.
You know, and I think that back then strippers weren't looked at the way they're looked at now. Back then it was like, oh man, she's a stripper. Oh, es una cochina, es una cualquiera. You know, it's like they just look at them like another person. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays, you know, I think strippers are more glorified. Like, oh, get your money, girl. You know what I'm saying? You got Rihanna doing throw it up, and all this. You know, dance like a stripper and all this, you know. So it's like, oh, okay, let me see. Do I want to work at, do I want to work at Country Burger or be a stripper? No, I've had a stripper, you know. So it's like, you know, and it's like a certain amount of respect now to be a stripper, which, you know. And before it was just like the Whip It contests and these contests that people try to emulate was like, it was like 2,000 people in one club just to see the contest.
Oh
yeah. So, you know,
that was legendary.
Yeah. So it was some good times, you know, but I think I went to go do something that we had a reunion and we had a reunion. And it was right before Big Baby died, and we were there, and it was a very trying time for Big Baby because at that point, that day, I think the day before, his mother passed away.
Wow.
So it was rough, but we were there together, and the deal is that we were going to get the door. Me and Big Baby, Ernest and Alan were all going to get the door. All the money was going to go to us. Everything that the owner was cool with it. He was like, you know what, you guys deserve it. Just cut it 4 ways. We did that. We applied for a liquor license. We didn't get it. So people were, you know, bringing in liquor. I don't know how we did it that way, but we probably would have got into a lot of trouble. Pero los valió madre. So anyway, Alan said, hey, man, we should go ahead and do the Whip It contest. You know, people were asking for the Whip It contest. And in the reunion, I saw all these people, like, you know, 15 years later, and it's like, don't look the same. You know what I'm saying?
They don't look the same.
I saw some girls that used to be in the Whip It contest. They came up there with their daughters, like, this is my daughter. I was like, okay. it was a little weird. And I was
Yeah.
like, I remember you, you know what I'm saying? And back in the day and this and that. And I just think that I'm a different person. I think that at that point, you know, I had a good time doing what I was doing, but I was also stuck on automatic. I was just doing the same old thing, and I was doing it more for the money than I was doing it for growth for me.
Yeah.
So he told me to do the whippy contest. Like, man, I'm not gonna do no whippy contest. My daughter's over here, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So I think he did the whippy contest. Alan and Ernest did, and I was like, you go ahead. I just don't want to do another contest where I'm gonna tell women take it off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like it's kind of cringy,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm older, and I just feel kind of weird telling another 20-year-old, you know, take it off. Like, I just feel a little uncomfortable about that, you know. And then, of course, my kids are older, and then before, like, Dad, I heard some stories, you know. So I was like, and they'd be different. I was like, if I tell them, well, I'm still doing that, no, mija, you know.
Yeah.
Y yo le digo al pinche Ernest, digo, ya déjese pedo, güey, ya estás grandecito, cabrón, ya, güey, ya. Pero no, man, we got to get a club. I was like, no, ya, güey, ya, déjalo, you know.
Yeah.
What I do now, of course, I do the weddings and the quinceañeras and stuff like that. I thought I'd retired from it, but my kids started going to college, and it's very expensive. So when Big Baby got sick, he had a lot of people. Everybody that would call me, I would send it to Big Baby. And he started getting sick, and then I was like, well, what are you going to do? Who do you want me to give this to? So I would have given it to a couple of my other DJ friends, but he told me, this is Maudi, you need to keep our legacy alive. You need to keep doing this. You do it, man. You can do it. I said, man, I ain't got no equipment. I said, man, just rent the equipment from, you know, DJ Devious or this other guy. They'll do it. They'll set it up. And I was like, you know, and then here we are 3 years later, and I'm still doing it. And I actually have a good time because, you know, I enjoy people when they have a good time. I'm playing the music, and in a way, I feel like Mike is there with me in spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, and sometimes I play some of his mixes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, you know, just to honor the guy. You know what I'm saying? So either that or just sit back and watch Netflix and get y engordar, güey. Pues que chingas, mejor salgo, güey. So
yeah, man.
But I'm doing that, and then, but I'm also, we have a staffing agency, me and my partners. So anybody has any needs for any recruitment, you know, we're here. You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it, man.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and plug it in, the number and stuff, so people.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to M&M-staffing.com. If you are a business and you're looking for employees, we do all types of, you know, job descriptions. And you know, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram and Facebook under me, Maudi. So you always got a buddy there. And I want to thank you, man, for having me and making me reminisce all these things that we went through.
Like I said, it's an honor for me to have you here.
Yeah.
And my past guests as well, man. And you know, rest in peace, Big Baby, man.
Of course.
You know, y'all were major in Dallas, man. In the history here in Dallas.
Yeah.
In the club scene. And so yeah, I had to have you here, man.
Well, I appreciate it.
You know,
I appreciate it. I think sometimes legend can just be construed as old head, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but you've been in the business long enough, you know. It just comes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, if there's anybody that doesn't know, this gentleman right here, we go way back all the way to Mexodus in those days where, I mean, it was just a beautiful time. It was a beautiful time to be a part of the industry. A lot of stuff has changed, but I'm really happy on what you're doing, taking your time to you know, to have people recognized in the community.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No, well, I appreciate you. Like I said, this is my way of giving you your flowers, man.
I appreciate
that.
that.
You know, they're way overdue and deserved, man. You know, like I said, you were involved in there, and then you're still involved in the community, you know, so you know, my hat's off to you, man. And
Thank you, brother.
you know, so wish you the best of luck in all your business ventures, man. Hopefully your staffing agency, you know, starts, you know, taking off, and you know, any ventures you got going on, man. You know, wish you the best.
Thank you, brother.
And you know, people like you is what has inspired me to do what I do now. You know, I remember watching you on stage many nights, and then watching DMX TV.
Yeah, man. We'll see if we can do a Super Vato skit. You know, we'll get you on there. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Most definitely, man. Do you want to send some shout outs?
I just want to thank everybody for watching
dedications.
This. Some dedications, you know what I'm saying? I want to say what's up to everybody that knows me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No. But no, that's it really, man. I just want to thank everybody for checking this out. Continue to support your people, support your boy. And I think, you know, we just got to just keep on encouraging people. Remember what we talked about, our community. We can't look at it like this is my kid and my kid only, because, you know, unfortunately, if it's your kid and he's not being affected somehow, some way, we all get affected at the end.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if we can help out, even if it's a little, imagine if we all help out a little bit, how much of a change we can make.
A little bit of here, a little bit of there adds up.
Yep.
Hell yeah, man. Well, there you have it, man. Like I said, thank you again for showing me some love and coming through, man.
You got it, bro.
I appreciate that, man. And, you know, give it up for Mean Maudi, man.
Appreciate you. Thank
Yeah,
you
man.
so much.
So, you know, appreciate everybody for tuning in. All my supporters, man. Even the haters, man. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all, man. And like I said, keep your ears to the street, and I'll catch you on the block. It's your boy, Money Elms. Peace.
Money M's. Yo. I'm doing the streets.
Okay, I was going to fix a rap and stuff.
SourKidsProductions.